record. So up to now we've been learning. Yeah. Up to now we've been learning. Here we go. Shalom Paul. Good morning. We've been learning. We asked a question in the beginning of this, and that is about the second Rebbe of Chabad. The second Rebbe of Chabad, he was born and passed away on the same date, the 9th day of Kislev. And similar with Moses, it says with Moshe, he was born on the 7th day of Adar, and he passed away on the 7th day of the same day. He says this shows on a certain type of wholesomeness, completeness. So the Rebbe said, but one second, that's a very rare that even these big tzaddikim, these holy Jews, that their whole life they're only aware of the Creator. They don't do anything on their own. They don't do anything for themselves. They only are interested in improving the world the way the Creator wants them to, every moment. And so they have no fear for themselves or low thoughts for themselves. They're just thinking about what God wants. Of course, God is always thinking about them. And God is thinking about each one of us. And they tuned into this. But there were a lot of people like that, not only Moses and the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. I mean, what about all the other Rebbes of Chabad? All the other Rebbes of Chabad were also at a tremendously high level. You know, I mean, if you can't measure one level against the other, but there's no reason to say that the second Rebbe of Chabad was more holy than the first, than his father was, or than the third Rebbe of Chabad. Holy people. And there were a lot of holy people. There was Moses, Aaron. And that those people were certainly holy. It's very rare that a person passes away on the same date that he was born. Does that mean that these people are lacking something? So the Rebbe explained to us. Of course, the answer is going to be it does show something, and we'll see what it shows, what it indicates, but not necessarily to compare one to the other, one person to the other. But it certainly is a very high thing, and we'll see why it is a very high thing. Shows a sign of excellence. And we'll see why it is a sign of excellence. Okay, but up to now, so the Rebbe explained to us that the whole essence of why we are here in the world is something like Yaakov. Yaakov, that's the topic of this week's Torah portion. Yaakov, we see that he left Israel and he went to a terrible place, which is called Haran, by his uncle, who was a charlatan, a terrible person, and over there he got married to his two wives. It ended up four wives. Each wife had a handmaid that he also got married, and from that he established all of the 12 tribes of Israel. So his marriage and his 12 tribes of Israel, and also it says that he worked for all this time for the sheep that was there. And explains in Chassidut that working for the sheep was refining the world. He actually was involved in the world. You think a holy person, that he was super holy. He was the grandson of Abraham and the son of Yitzchak. And these people only devoted to God. And it says he spent 6 years of his life raising sheep. And he wanted this type of sheep and that type of a sheep, and the speckled sheep and striped sheep and blotted sheep and this sheep. That's so important to the tzaddikim. So it explains that that's elevating the world. He used the world in the way that God wants him to. We said, so the Rebbe said that's the whole purpose, the whole essence of what a real tzaddik is that he's only concerned with the world. He's only concerned with the world. All he's concerned with is making the world a place that God wants it to be. To perfect the world the way God wants the world to be. So it ends up that each tzaddik is really just a means to something else. He's not something on his own. He's just a means. And that's really personified by the second Rebbe of Chabad, who's called Admor Emtsai, the middle Rebbe. The middle Rebbe. The Hasidim called that after they thought that the third Rebbe of Chabad was for sure going to be the Moshiach. He had all the qualifications of Moshiach, and that his knowledge was seemingly unlimited, and so they thought he was going to be. That's why they call the third Rebbe. They called him the Tzemach Tzedek. Call him the Tzemach Tzedek. The first Rebbe was called the Alter Rebbe. It was called the first Rebbe, and the last was called the Tzemach Tzedek, the Moshiach, and the second Rebbe was called the Middle Rebbe. He was just like a middle. He was a connector. So that was his whole thing, was being a connection. Okay, so here we go. So Begilei Torah Chassidut, when Torah Chassidut was revealed, Nifal, there was brought about chibur, a joining, ruchniut v'gashmiut, spiritual and physical. B'miyuchad al yedei ofen gilui, especially by means of the second Rebbe of Chabad, Admor Emtsoi, the second Rebbe of Chabad. Okay, again, Chassidut is not just another how do you say, a commentary on Judaism. Up to the teachings of Chassidut, up to the Baal Shem Tov, the Torah had been basically divided into the revealed Torah and the hidden Torah. The hidden Torah, that was the secrets of the Torah, Kabbalah. And very few people occupied themselves in Kabbalah. Very, very few people occupied themselves in Kabbalah. And even today, these popular Kabbalah, whatever they're called, clubs or Kabbalah centers or things like that, that's not really involved in Kabbalah. It's using ideas that are in Kabbalah, but it's not to understand God or to prove the world. It's not to understand God himself or to understand the world. It's to understand the basic ideas that are found in Kabbalah. But up to the Chassidut, the ideas of Kabbalah were basically not practical at all in the world. They were practical to people who learn these ideas to apply them to Torah and especially to prayer. To think of the different aspects of God, the different levels of God, the different numerical values, etc. But to make it really practical, it wasn't. The day-to-day life. Then there was people, let's say the Maharal of Prague, whatever. Maharal of Prague. He was able to create a human being. It says he didn't really create a human being. He formed a human being, but using the ideas of Kabbalah. So that's practical, but it's not really practical for everybody. He was a tremendously high holy person. It says that Rebbe and the Talmud also did the same thing. For the ideas of Kabbalah to be practical in our day-to-day life, namely that we should have love of God, we should have the fear of God, we should have faith in God in everything that we do. And the idea is to, yes, do things in the world, to be involved in the world and to think every moment, to be inspired every moment by our Creator who's creating us and has a purpose for creation. And therefore take the ideas of the Torah, the laws of the Torah, and to apply them in the world in a way that God wants, to fix up the world, like Yaakov did, like Jacob did. Jacob started this whole thing, bringing the secrets down to earth in our day-to-day activities. Everybody, like it says, the world will be filled with the awareness of God. The world will be filled with the awareness of God. Doesn't mean that it'll knock out the world, it'll negate the world. Everybody's going to become a monk or something, or a nun. It means exactly the opposite. Everyone will be activated. Everyone will have a family. Everyone will have children. It's a big blessing to have children. The biggest blessing. Everyone will have the means to provide for the family. Everyone will contribute to the world, use their talents, etc. That's the idea of Moshiach coming. The world will be filled with the awareness of God, and that's what Chassidut does. It talks about the awareness of God. Okay, so that was especially done by the second Rebbe of Chabad. It's known that the Torah, the Chassidut, and all of our Rebbes, they revealed a certain aspect of godliness. I think we did this. Didn't we do this? One minute. Let's see. I think that we did this. Huh? All right. Oh, here we go. Now we can understand why specifically it was the second Rebbe of Chabad that he brought about this completion. Why? Because it's the first Rebbe of Chabad. He was like the point. He was like the seed of these ideas of Chassidut in the world, the seed. And the third Rebbe of Chabad, he really made it practical, put it into the practical world. But the second Rebbe of Chabad, he explained the seed ideas in a very, very wide way. And so it could apply to everything. So he was like the connector between the seed and the fruits. The second Rebbe of Chabad, he was called the wide river. The first Rebbe was like the the wellspring. And the last Rebbe, the third Rebbe of Chabad, he was like the world will be filled with the knowledge of God like an ocean. And the second Rebbe of Chabad, he's like the river. He's like the river that brings it widens. Because he wrote the Chassidut, ideas of Chassidut in tremendous detail, tremendous long. According to this, now we can understand why it is specifically the second Rebbe of Chabad. He is complete. He was born and passed away on the same day. In other words, even his time in the world was complete. That his physical life was from the same day he was born, 9th of Kislev, he passed away. Even Etzelo by him is found the stress, stressed, underlined. The joining of the spiritual with the physical. Haba b'koach, which comes only from the power of the essence of God, has the power to join these two opposites together. Shashlemus ba'avoda ruchnius, that his complete service spiritually irrigated hashkaet penei adama, also the physical, not just his spiritual life and Torah commandments, but also the years, the time that he spent in the world, the physical, mundane days and minutes and seconds and weeks and months and years, to the point where it came out to be complete. Miyom liyom. And is revealing godliness, the completeness of godliness, even in every second of his life, to the point where you could see that it was complete, like Moses did. According to this, now we can say that the reason for this, the date of Tet Kislev, is also a preparation for Yud Kislev. Now, Yud Kislev was the day that the second Rebbe of Chabad got out of prison. Chag Geula Shelo, day we got out of prison. Shenikva Lechag, it was set as a holiday in the year Tov Kuf Pei Chet. The story is that the second Rebbe of Chabad, so he got out of prison and he was on his way back to his father's grave to celebrate the first anniversary of his freedom from prison. And he got sick and he passed away. And the date of his passing away was one day before the first anniversary of him getting out of prison. So it says that was the date of his getting out of prison was one date. And in fact, then it was one day after the annual celebration, the first annual celebration of his freedom from prison. So he passed away one day before he could celebrate the first anniversary of his freedom. Since because the completion of this joining together of a tzaddik spiritually with the physically is a preparation for the true idea of Geula. In other words, he passed away on the day that completed his life totally. His life was completed from day to day, and that was the preparation for Geula, for the redemption. That occurred the day after he passed away, was the date of his first anniversary of his freedom. So this idea of completing your job physically in the world, this is a preparation for Moshiach, which will be total freedom. Spreading out the well springs outward. Like it's known that the redemption of the second Rebbe of Chabad was something like the first Rebbe of Chabad. It was mainly a redemption that he was freed from prison, not just physically himself, but it was freeing also his ideas from prison. Both Rebbes, even though ostensibly they were imprisoned because of physical reasons, they had enemies. And then they defeated their enemies. They got out of prison, right? The enemies they slandered them to the government, and the government put them in jail on charges of treason, on charges of embezzlement, and the charges were proven to be false, and they were freed. So it was a little episode in their lives. Said, yeah, you can look at it that way. Historically, that seems to be the way it was, but really something much deeper was going on over here. What they were trying to imprison was not the Rebbe, and the reason that he was put in was not because of any physical thing that he did, but because of the Torah that he taught. Because of the Torah that he taught, he was trying with this Torah to change the whole entire world. To change the whole entire world, just like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It wasn't just a person, they weren't just founding another religion for their believers and anyone who wanted to come, like Noah and his ark. You wanted to come, you'll get saved from the flood of this world. Right? No, they were trying to change the whole entire world. Every human being is obligated to follow what God said at Mount Sinai. And what God said at Mount Sinai was what intuitively Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob knew. But why should every human being in the world do that? You have to be inspired. And that's the idea of Hasidut. The idea of Hasidut is to inspire the Jews, so the Jews will inspire the whole world. To what? To be inspired what? To know that God is creating everybody. And to know that your life is a gift from God. And that every human being has a responsibility to the Creator to be himself. Himself. So therefore, when he was put into prison, before he was put into prison, as the ideas of Hasidut were private, limited. When he got out, then it started to have its real true effect. It began to have its true effect to be applicable to the whole entire world. To the Jews first, of course, but to the whole world. That was the way of the revelation of Hasidut of the second Rebbe of Chabad, in a way of Rechovot Anar, Ad Lamaisar Geula, until he was a wide spread out, until he was imprisoned, and when he was released, then there was also a release of his ideas, and he added on even more in his teachings about redemption, the future redemption. Geula upritza derech shelamayla mimedira v'agbala. He started teaching in a way which was totally incomparable to the way it was previously. Shemosifin kochos chodashim. It gives new powers, new abilities. Ad shelo be'erach. Like we said, I think we said this a lot of times before, but a lot of times reasons that people, and perhaps the main reason that people get into depression, into murder, aggression, and thievery, crime, and addictions and things like that, is because they get into a situation where they think that there's no alternative, that that's the best or the only thing that they can do. They get stuck in a hole and think the only way I can get out of this is by taking a drug or by hurting somebody or by and they think they don't have the powers to get, even if there is something better, they don't have any power to get out of it. Well, that's the idea of Moshiach. The idea of Moshiach is to show everyone what new alternatives to life, new positive things in the world, and also how to deal with the difficulties in the world, how to raise a family, how to make a business, how to deal with the challenges in life, and mainly to show that what does it mean that God is with me? What does it mean that God is with me? And then God is with every single human being all the time, every single instant. And we have talents and abilities we're not even aware of. One reason is because we don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe in God. That's what the idea of Mashiach is. That's the idea of what Chassidut tries to teach us. It turns our attention to the spiritual. Al derech hachidush, like it says, the bittul hagazera bein elyonim v'tachtonim, something like what on Mount Sinai, when God gave the Torah on Mount Sinai, previously, spiritual people had to leave the world. And people that were in the world had no idea what spiritual was. They needed spiritual people in order to connect somehow or other, them to tell them that there was such a thing as spiritual. After the Torah was given, as everyone had a taste of the spiritual. And everyone had a taste of how high the physical world is. That's what happened on Mount Sinai. But when they sinned with the golden calf, they lost it. And that's the idea that it had to wait again, right? Just like the world had to wait 2,000 years for Abraham to come along and tell everybody about what God is, and at least inform. So also the world had to wait 3,000 years, whatever, until Hasidut came along, and to inform every world that God is accessible to everyone and to how to serve him with love. until even more, Geula shel Yud Kislev, that's the redemption of Yud Kislev. So we see that the second Rebbe of Chabad, he finished his life exactly the physical what he did, and the day after that was the anniversary of freedom, when it started on a whole new level. This redemption of Yud Kislev that was made as a preparation. This was a preparation for the date that came after Yud Kislev, Rosh Hashanah, the Chassidut. Even though the first Rebbe of Chabad was freed years before the second Rebbe, but the dates come that the date of the freedom of the second Rebbe comes 9 days before the date, the anniversary of the freedom of the first Rebbe. So that's Yud Kislev and Yud Kislev. Okay, let's add on another thing. This year, says the Rebbe, because that's not the way it's going to be by us. By us, when does the 9th of Kislev fall? Just 1 second. Let me have a look over here. Let me have a look. Here we go. Here we go. By us, when the Rebbe was speaking, this was in the end of 1991, which that's what 34 years ago. So 34 years. So Tet Kislev, the day of the passing and the birth of the second Rebbe Chabad, that fell on Shabbat. But by us, it doesn't fall on Shabbat. By us, it falls on Tuesday. So it was Monday night. And Yud Tet Kislev by us falls on the next week, Thursday night. In other words, Friday, it falls on Friday. Okay. So this is relevant to that year that it fell on Shabbat, and how the connection between Shabbat and etc. That Shabbat also causes a change, physical change in the world. Let's read here. It says, Shabbat. On the day of Shabbat is drawn down holiness of the pleasure of Shabbat, which is above the world, into the physical world. You don't work on Shabbat. You have a better food on Shabbat. You feel a certain calmness in the air. is eating, drinking, sleeping. And this is the pleasure to get the commandment. It's a commandment to enjoy Shabbat. Enjoy Shabbat. It's like it says, Shina b'Shabbat Tanu. The first letters of Shabbat are sleeping on Shabbat is pleasure. Of course, not to overdo it. Until the soul, it says that there's an extra soul on Shabbat. This change in nature. That year that the Rebbe spoke, that Tet Kislev, the day that the previous Rebbe completed his life, the second Rebbe of Chabad completed his life, that fell on Shabbat, and Shabbat is the day when the week is also completed. It's a day of complete, no obstacles on Shabbat, so to speak. Okay, everything we spoke about above, about revealing God in the world, and about the second Rebbe of Chabad revealing this godliness in the world, completing, showing the wholesomeness not only in place but also in time. This is relevant not just to the second Rebbe of Chabad, but it's relevant to every single Jew in every single time. Alachat kama kama, how much more so in our generation, in our time. Sha'al pi simani Chazal, according to all the signs which are in the Gemara, the Talmud in Sanhedrin, and also Midrashim, also other places, we are now in the time of redemption. Now we're in the shlav, in one stage of the redemption. Now again, the Rebbe wants us to be crazy about the redemption, about Moshiach. Who's going to bring? And it wasn't his idea. The idea was much before him in Maimonides, who lived like 600 years before the Alter Rebbe. And the idea was not from Maimonides, but it came from the Talmud, which the Talmud was already like 800 years, 900 years before Maimonides was. And the ideas of the Talmud, of course, they come directly from the Torah, just explaining, showing us where in the Torah this comes from, the Torah, which the Torah that was already like, almost 2,000 years, something like that, before the Talmud, 1,800 years further down. So these are just ideas being consumed with the idea Mashiach is supposed to come any moment. This has been prominent in Judaism for 3,000 years. It's just because of the different disappointments and things that happen, so people get confused. But the Rebbe is trying to bring this back. That's true Judaism. True Judaism is Mashiach. True Judaism is changing the whole world. That's true Judaism. Nowadays, there's certain groups that tikkun olam. We got to fix up the world. Okay, but you have to fix up the world according to the Torah. But tikkun olam is certainly the goal of Judaism. And it's only going to happen by means of Mashiach. Only Mashiach is going to build the holy third temple. We're not going to do it. Only Mashiach is going to bring all the Jews back to the land of Israel. Right? Zionism is not going to do it. Mashiach is going to accomplish all the goals that the goals, the ideals of all mankind, the ideals of communism, the ideals of whatever, anything, that the world should be ruled by a true leader, and that the world should be harmonious, and that there should be plenty for everybody. That's the goal, I think, of all all groups, right? Except maybe for Attila the Hun or something like that. He just wanted to destroy everybody or rule. But all the others, they thought you're going to make a perfect world, a good world. Get rid of the bad, do the good. Everybody has their own definition of what that is. If Mashiach is really what they all really wanted was Mashiach. That's what they really wanted. They just wanted Mashiach on their terms. So therefore, they didn't like the Jews, because the Jews have the true definition of Mashiach. Okay. Kolom or Le'il, that we said before, is relevant to every single Jew in every single time. Like all the rabbis say, we are now in the time of the redemption. Kamaduba, like I said many times, that after the Riboy Muflag, by all of our work that we've done, all of our generations, and especially by means of the service of all of our Rebbes, beginning from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then the fathers of Chassidut, the Baal Shem Tov, the Maggid of Mezrich, the first Rebbe of Chabad, and the days that they were freed from prison. The first Rebbe of Chabad was freed on Yud Tet Kislev. The second Rebbe was freed on Yud Kislev. And the days that they were born and the days that they passed away, Tet Kislev, etc. Chav Dalet Tevis, that's when the first Rebbe of Chabad passed away. Ume'az Kavar Avru Kamadoros. There's many generations and years until the service of the second Rebbe of Chabad, the previous Rebbe of Chabad. He said, we've already completed all the work that has to be done. Now all we have to do is just accept the Mashiach. Any changes we make are personal. Kolel, this is also the Esav who Edom. Even changing Esav, which is Edom, how much more so? Shahari Afilu Bizman Yaakov, in the time of Jacob. Savar Yaakov, he thought, Esav Nidbar, he thought that Esav means all the Gentiles in the world. He thought that they were already refined, that they all wanted godliness, they all wanted, like we said before, how much more so after thousands of years of the service of the Jewish people. So Esav, namely the world's population, they've already been refined, said the Rebbe. Amazing how the Rebbe could say it like that. But if he said it's obviously true. Like we see also in our days, that the non-Jews, how they treat to Esav u Adam in a way of the kingship of Chesed, the Jews that were in America. Now, now it's changed around. I hope, we'll see. But it used to be that America was like the ideal place for Jews. So we see that the non-Jews helped the Jews, right? They helped the Jews out. And really the fact is in the time of the Rebbe, as there was the war, the Saddam Hussein, he shot all these missiles into Israel, and Saddam Hussein, Iraq, he made war against other Arab nations. And the so-called Palestinians, which there really is no such thing, but the Israeli government invented them, they sided with Saddam Hussein. So everybody hated the Palestinians and everybody hated all the Arab nations, and they all ran away. And that was it. Basically, the problems of Israel were finished. The Rebbe made these amazing prophecies, and everybody saw that the Rebbe was always right. And the leaders of Israel, they were taking the Rebbe's advice and everything was just really wonderful. I mean, it was just, he shot all these missiles and nothing happened, and it was just, the whole world was just up on their this. And then the Israeli government wrecked the whole thing up. Okay, but nevertheless, the fact is, so they wrecked it up, but they can fix it in a second. All they have to do is just be strong. Shamir decided he wanted to make peace. He wanted to give away things. He wanted to make a deal. He wanted to make concessions. He wanted to make that. Which that's been the story, right? Since then. But says the Rebbe, the fact of the matter is that the redemption is already here. We just have to accept it. We have to accept that. We see now that this Bibi Netanyahu, if he's just strong, he doesn't even have to be particularly talented. All he has to do is be strong and not listen to these other foolish voices, which they're just so obvious that they're foolish. Then everything goes okay. But he has to just be strong. All he has to do is just be strong. He doesn't have to be a genius. He doesn't have to be a fantastic statesman or an orator or anything like that. Just be strong. Just accept what the Rebbe said. Be strong. The world is ready for the redemption. The world wants it. They've had enough of the wars. They've had enough of this. Be strong. Everything will work out. That's what the Rebbe is saying. In any case, our job is not to talk about them like I'm doing right now. It's to talk about ourselves. So we have to ourselves be strong. And we have to go out and do whatever we can in order to make Jews aware that it's okay. God is with us. God is protecting us. Here we see that the Arabs, they've shot like well over 20,000 missiles, 20,000 missiles since October the 7th. 20,000 missiles they've shot into Israel of different sizes, of different shapes, of different. Each one had the ability to kill, tens of people. And we see that there's a minimum amount of damage has been done. 20,000 missiles. And most of them were not intercepted by the Iron Dome. So what do we have to do? We have to direct our mind to good and positive things, not like what I just finished doing. So it's how much more so after we've done all the service. So it says even the non-Jews are already, they are ready for the redemption. And the Rebbe said this 30 years ago. So it's understood. So now we are already in a situation that the physical body, even the physical world, it's already been refined. It's already been clarified, says the Rebbe, totally. And so the world, therefore, is a vessel for the highest lights of godliness and spiritual things, including also the light of the Mashiach, which the light of the Mashiach is eventually the light of the redemption. Godliness will be revealed everywhere. The truth will be revealed that God is creating everybody. God loves everybody. Until also the revelation of the essence of God simply in this world, like it was in the Holy of Holies. Like this will be revealed simply the essence of the Mashiach himself, which is above any sort of levels, even the level of Yechida of the soul. By means of this is revealed the simplicity of every single what a Jew really is. So the Jews are the sons of God. Here you got a religion that they claim one person is the son of God. Billions of people go crazy berserk, right? Well, the fact is every Jew is the son of God, every Jew, without exception. That person that they think he misused this, but the fact is still a fact. And it's a fact that everybody should be excited about. It should be in order to draw people to the Torah, to do the commandments, to make the distinction between a Jew and a non-Jew, a distinction between Shabbat and not Shabbat, a distinction between kosher and not kosher, etc., according to what the Torah says. Okay, good. But the fact is, every Jew has this power to do good. To do good. It's just if you do bad, it's more, how do you say, noticeable, popular, famous, right? You blow up a person that builds the Eiffel Tower, who knows? But if you blow up the Eiffel Tower, your name is going to be famous for all the time. You know who blew up? Of course. You know who built the Eiffel Tower? I don't know. You know who blew it up? Of course. What's the question, right? What's the question? But we have power to we have the ability to take the world and bring good and blessing into it. That's what it says. Last week's Torah portion, that the Jews say, we will be a blessing for the world. The only thing that's missing, says the Rebbe. Here the Rebbe explaining in such rosy terms and everything is wonderful. You look in the world and you see that it doesn't seem that there's any redemption here at all. I mean, terrible things are happening in the world. Says the Rebbe, listen to what I'm saying. The redemption is already begun. It's already here. We've already refined the world. We've refined even the non-Jews. Esav, that which Yaakov began to do, we finished. What's missing? That a Jew has to just open his eyes like he should and see how that everything already is prepared for the future redemption. There's also the Shulchan Aruch. There's also the Leviathan and Shurabar. These are spiritual things which are going to be physicalized. When Moshiach comes, it says the table will be set. We'll have a meal from this fish, and it's called Leviathan, and the Shurabar, the whatever is the purified or the wild ox, or B'nai Yisrael, the Jewish people, they're already sitting around the table of their fathers, like the king, Yachad together with the Mashiach Tzidkenu. Here we are, we're already here. The Rebbe is the Mashiach. The previous Rebbe is the Mashiach. Like it says in the books that every single generation there is one person of the Jewish people that's fit to be the Mashiach. In our generation, who is that? It's the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. And after 40 years, the Rebbe, previous Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away in 1950, and now the Rebbe is speaking in 1990. It says after 40 years of his passing away, we have reached the level of Lev Ladat, that we have a heart to know and eyes to see, etc. Now, says the Rebbe, all we have to do is, like we said, we have to open up our hearts. We have to open up our eyes. We have to open up our ears to hear. So, I mean, who would ever dream, just take a simple example, that if you walk up to a non-religious Jew, that he's willing to do a religious ceremony in the middle of the street, in front of everybody, to put on tefillin. A non-religious Jew, he doesn't keep Shabbos, he doesn't eat kosher, and you ask him, "Sir, would you like to put on tefillin?" He said, "What is that?" Tefillin Jews have been doing it for thousands of years. Yeah, I saw that in a movie once. Nah, not for me. Sure, it is for you. You're a Jew, right? Put it on. Come on, do it. His wife says, "Let's go, Sam. We got some." He says, "1 second. This is interesting. What do I have to do? Just roll up your sleeve. It'll take 1 minute. Doesn't cost anything. Do it. I'll do it. Sam, come on. We gotta go. We can't wait here. Start talking to the lady. What about Shabbos candles? You light Shabbos candles? You light Shabbos candles? Give her a brochure. Meanwhile, he's putting on tefillin, and the guy puts on tefillin. Right? I go, like I said, every day to this sort of public place since the war started. The Rebbe said it helps the soldiers, so I go. Yesterday, even someone came up to me and said, "I'll put on." No, I went up to him and I said, "Would you like to put on tefillin?" No, he doesn't want to. So I asked the person sitting next to him if he would like to. He was in Arab. It's very difficult to tell the difference in Israel. I said no. So I said, "God bless you," and everything like that. I started walking away. The first guy said, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll put on tefillin," and he didn't know how. He didn't know how to put on tefillin. He didn't. I said, "You never put." I said, "Maybe at my bar mitzvah." Who would dream that the Jews they want to do this, and it's an how do you say, it's an earth-shaking deed. The person I tell these people, it's like finding the holy temple of Beit HaMikdash in the middle of the jungle. You see a Jew putting on tefillin, and all of a sudden it just changes the whole. Jews, who would dream that Jews want to do this? That's what the Rebbe says. Open up your eyes. The world is ready. Everyone is ready. All you have to open up your eyes, open up your ears. Use all of your 248 limbs, your 365 blood vessels. They should be used in addition to learning Torah and doing the commandments, etc. Which that's the 248 limbs. That's the positive commandments, and the 365 net prohibitions. That corresponds to the 365 blood vessels. Learning the inside of the Torah, also Pnimis Torah, that should be revealed. Torah Chassidut, it inspires us and gives us enthusiasm to learn the ideas of the Geula, of what's really going to happen when Mashiach comes, how the world will be and you say it'll flower. It'll be the world will be more dynamic, more productive in a way that this will open up the heart and the eyes and the ears that all humanity will understand. They will see, they'll hear simply, physically, the future redemption, godliness everywhere. This will be to learn, but first of all, what do we have to do? How do we begin learning the Torah of the Mashiach? That's the classes that we're giving here. That's what we're learning. That's why I'm doing it, so that people will see that at least there is such a thing. This is what we're waiting for. The call is Kavar Yeshnu, says the Rebbe. It's already there. It's just waiting. All we have to do is open up our eyes and see this. I want to tell you again, this always pops up in my mind, and I know I've told this story before, but I want to tell it again. When I was a child, so, I guess I must have been, I don't know, 5 years old, 6 years old. We had a television. Now here we're talking about, this is like 70 years ago, right? 70 something years ago. So television was just starting. Anyway, you have to look and see what this is. Anyway, so it was Superman. There was a Superman show. So Superman. So Superman used to, the cape, and he flew, and I mean, it was obvious he was just laying on a table, and there was a fan blowing on him. It was faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive. What? It was a Superman. He could do like basically everything. He could do anything. He had X-ray vision. He could fly in the air. He could bust through walls. So there was one episode where there were these people trapped in a dungeon. They were trapped in a dungeon somewhere way up high. And a tower, whatever it is, it had thick walls to it, and they were trapped and they were chained in a dungeon. So Superman hears about it, and he's going to go get him. So he puts on his Superman clothes, and he jumps through the window. And he's flying, and the music is and Superman is looking around, and sure enough, he sees there's the tower in the distance. And of course, this was like in the 50s, so maybe it was, I guess it was the 50s. Maybe it was, early 50s. So it was all very, not really professional looking, but to us, it was like, just amazing. It was just amazing. Superman comes up to the tower, and he bursts through these thick walls with his chest, right? And true, you see that the thick, big rocks, they sort of bounce a little bit. So you see it was just paper mache, but it doesn't make any difference. We believed it. So he busts through, and there's these people chained up together. He said, Superman, please, you've saved us. He said, do not worry, I will break the chains. And he grabs a hold of the chains, and he says, he turns to this, he's like this, and he turns to the camera, and he said, these are just made from paper. These people have been hypnotized. I remember seeing that. I don't know how old, I must have been 6 years old. And I never do what's this hypnotized? I thought, this is amazing. Hypnotized, these are paper. And they said, no, Superman, we are trapped. This is chains, help us. So Superman says, okay, and the music starts going. Without the music, he can't do anything, right? He takes the chains, and he breaks it. It's just paper, and he breaks it like that. He said, thank you, Superman. And he grabs a hold of them and flies out through the hole that he made in the wall. He flies and takes them away. I remember thinking about that. Wow, that is really amazing. Hypnotized. These people are hypnotized. I was much more impressed by that than the fact that he burst through the wall and that he grabbed a hold of 3 people and flew back out again through the wall. That's a big, amazing thing. But the thing that everybody can be hypnotized, and that stuck with me. That stuck with me to this very day, that a person can be hypnotized and really believe that he's imprisoned, or that he's in chains, or that he's whatever, stupid, or that people can get hypnotized. That you're a sinner, that you can't do anything, that you're helpless, that you're this. You can be hypnotized. And it's not, and you can tell the person you're hypnotized as much as you want. You have to have someone come along and break the chains, and the music plays, right? So here that's the Rebbe's doing. The Rebbe here is Superman. And the music is the Chassidut, right? And it's playing in the background, and the Rebbe is saying, you're free, come on, open up your eyes, you can leave, you can go. The difference is that the Rebbe doesn't want to break the chains himself. He wants to tell us that we can. We're the people that are in chains. No, Superman, we can't. And then Superman says, "Oh, yes, you can. I'm not going to break them. You do it yourself." No, Superman, please. We're trapped. And Superman says, "Listen, there's no Superman. You're a Superman. You're not a psychiatrist. Come on, break the chains. Do your job. Superman, break the chains." And the Rebbe is saying, "I'm not a psychiatrist, and I'm not a Superman. I'm telling you, you are Superman, and you can break the chains yourself. But it just depends on your changing your attitude. Changing your attitude. Be more positive. Go and learn Torah. Go to your local Chabad, also to your local Orthodox synagogue, and learn Torah. They teach Mishnah. They teach the Halacha. You can look on the internet nowadays." In simple language regarding to actually what to do. Since the joining of the soul and the body, namely spiritual and physical, it already is. So everything is already ready for the future, for the redemption. All we have to do is just do things that will reveal this. What do we have to do? First of all, this is birthday. This is the birthday of the second Rebbe of Chabad, Yom Holed. To add learning Torah, and then especially in a way of learning Torah, Rechovos Anar, increasing not exponentially. Anyway, disproportionately to what you've been done before. I forgot the word of Bina. Shemechaberes ruchnius v'gashmius. You should learn especially more ideas of Chassidut, and the little Torah that you do learn, make it more. And if you learn more, learn even more than that. Learning Torah has to be relevant to every single Jew, men, women. Like we said many times, learning Chassidut especially, and spreading out the ideas of Chassidut is relevant, especially to the women. Especially by means of this, it says, Atimar, that will call the Moshiach. And Talmud is God of the greatness of learning Torah is great because it brings to action. There's an argument in the Gemara, which is better, learning Torah or doing action. It says learning Torah is better because without that, you won't come to do action. The main thing is action, but you can't do it unless you learn Torah first. This will bring to the action and serving God actually. And to learn from the second Rebbe of Chabad, that by him was revealed the completion of Chassidut in the physical body in this world. Right? He was born and passed away on the same day. Same day. So therefore, the day he was in the world, from day to date, and that by every single Jew should be a special effort to express spirituality and Hasidic deeds in the physical world. Give more charity, learn more Torah, be more exact in your commandments, in turning from bad, doing good. And everything should be brought into actual physicality. You should feel the warmth and the life and the Judaism and the Hasidic attitude you have until that there shouldn't be any separation between the spiritual and the physical at all. In addition to that, that you should organize as much as you can for bring-ins, beginning on Yud Kislev, and to speak about the Torah of the second Rebbe of Chabad, and to take on yourself good resolutions and all these things that we spoke about, especially good decisions and preparations that are that are commensurate with the forbringers that you're going to make. Forbringers, make big ones. Yud Tet Kislev, usually they make them, the Chabad, they used to rent out huge stadiums even, and make Yud Tet Kislev the holidays. And here in Kfar Chabad, they used to invite all the big officials and the big generals, and so they used to come here and make Yud Tet Kislev was a big thing in Chabad, in Kfar Chabad, to show and to make them every place you can, to the ends of the world, until even the furthest corner in the world, it should feel that Yud Tet Kislev, the day that the first Rebbe of Chabad got out of prison, is a holiday for all the Jewish people and consequently for all mankind. Similarly, also to draw these forbringings into the month of Kislev, and especially the days which are of Hasidut. So says the Rebbe, starting on Tes Kislev, there should be forbringings, Hasidic get-togethers all the time, every single evening, and especially especially in the days of Chanukah. This Chanukah, the whole idea of Chanukah is to illuminate the outside world. It says you can put the Chanukah candles outside of your house on the door that faces the street. There's no other commandment like that. In a way that you're continually adding on light. And this is like the custom of the Rebbes, that they would make one night of Chanukah, they would make a Chanukah night, and they would give money to all of the people of the family. Right? You give $5, $50, whatever you give to every person, to the children, the sons and the daughters. Because just like every person does this commandment, this custom to make a feast on one of the nights, at least one of the nights of Chanukah, and you should advertise it, and even more, you should add on giving money of Chanukah and give more and more with an increase. This even attaches everyone with the Rebbes of Chabad, that the whole thing of adding on and giving more light that's like the themes of what Chassidut is: more light, and to continue adding on light in the physical world. In the physical world, that's the meals, the festive meals that you can make of your own free will. It's not an obligation, of your own free will on Chanukah, carrying out the light of Yud Kislev and Yud Tes Kislev into those days. And this is especially the custom of the Jewish people that goes, and that you should learn and talk about the future redemption, and learn about and talk about the topics of Mashiach, in order to prepare yourself and to prepare others, that when the actual total redemption comes, the Beis HaMikdash comes down from heaven, you'll be ready for it. It won't be. May it be God's will that talking about this and taking resolutions, good resolutions in these topics will bring to the future redemption, total future redemption, complete redemption by means of the Mashiach in the fleshy eyes of everyone. There won't be any more wars. There won't be any more famines. There won't be any more disease. There won't be any more addictions. There won't be any more crime. The world can get along very well without all those things. There'll be plenty for everyone. We'll see the uniqueness of every human being. Human beings will be happy to see other human beings. People won't be suspicious, or they won't be angry. They won't be jealous. And the world will be God's world, not our world. Immediately, all the Jewish people will go. It says, on clouds of heaven, the clouds in heaven. Oru Anani Shemayim. This just says the Jews will come in the clouds of heaven. It's a sentence in Daniel. Yeah, we did this one. There it is. There it is. On the clouds of heaven together. And this will unite, not just we will all go to Israel, but it'll take all of our good deeds and all the good deeds and the suffering and the prayers of all the Jews from all the generations, and all of our properties also. Like it says, Kasvam v'zava mitam. Don't worry, you're going to lose all your money. You're going to have to leave your house, your bank account. Don't worry. Everything will fly with you all together with all the houses, Bati, Mikdash Me'at, together with all the synagogues in the world, all the places of learning. They will all fly to the land of Israel. Even your individual houses. So you don't have to worry. You won't lose your house. You won't be wandering around in the streets, floating around like in angels, like in heaven or something like that. No, your houses will fly with you. Okay, if that's your concern, don't worry about it. Your flowers, even your basement, who knows? Maybe God will fix the plumbing. You won't have any problems whatsoever. No bad neighbors. The whole world will be permeated with the light of Chassidut and the holiness of the soul. Like it says, God said, Shachanti b'tocham, I will dwell inside of each one. And this will all be in the Holy Land, in the holy city of Jerusalem, in the holy mountain, in the holy house, Beit HaMikdash, holy house, the third temple, and we can say that the Beit HaMikdash, that all of the synagogues and places of learning in the whole entire world will join together in Jerusalem with the Holy Temple. Mikdash Hashem Konan Yodecha, it says that the Holy Temple, the third Holy Temple, is going to be made by God. This is in the song the Jews sang when they went over the sea. So it says Mikdash Hashem, the temple, God will, your hands will make. The Kodesh Kadoshim, the Holy of Holies, the revelation of the Holy of Holies should be in the whole world. After all, what was in the Holy of Holies? God, and God is creating all of us. That'll be revealed where the Evan HaShoam, that from it the whole world is founded. It says the Evan HaShoam, that's the stone upon which was the ark was rested. It says that's the foundation stone of the whole world. The whole world will be affected immediately, really. So this just has to happen, and it should happen any second now. Let's now learn we have to stop this 1 second. Here we go.